Okay. Dearly departed, we are gathered here to honestly wish this movie well and wish it well in the hereafter, even before I go to watch it. Yes, folks, I am your horror host Inkarnate, and I am all set for about between 20 minutes and a half hour. I am good to go in order to head out to the theater so that I can catch the movie adaptation of Until Yawn. Full disclosure, straight up and flat out, I was not a fan of the video game. I don't know what the hell people were talking about. I've seen it on so many best hits or greatest game lists, and I'm just like, what the hell are you people smoking? it is a walking sim, and I don't understand how people don't acknowledge that. Like, and I've heard that label applied to so many other video games recently, and yet for some reason, oh wait, not some reason, I know exactly why. It's because anything with teen horror or slashers is always given a free pass, an automatic win, and there's no standards applied. So why would it ever need to aspire to anything? So on top of that, watching the trailers for this movie, oh man, it became painstakingly obvious that this Until Dawn video game adaptation really wants to be Cabin in the Woods so bad, man. It is pathetic, which is, if you're looking at the title, you can guess that was the entire subject of this movie preview. So usually I do my precautions before I'm about to head out to the theater to watch whatever latest horror movie has come out. I thought I'd do things a little differently this time around. So in no particular order, let's get the obvious out of the way. Obviously, there's supernatural shenanigans going on in a cabin, but we're going to dive just a little deeper than that. That point by itself, that would be too easy to pinpoint the plagiarism. Hell, even mentioning how both posters for Cabin in the Woods and the Until Dawn movie, they both feature a cabin, but I think I can do a little better than that. So in no particular order, I thought that I would rattle off all the different ways that this movie is set to utterly plagiarize that classic from about a decade and a half ago. So first up, we have what is referred to in horror as the Prophet of Doom. So in Cabin in the Woods, it was this character, Mordecai, who warns the teens before they head off to their romp at the Cabin in the Woods for sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Besides that, they spoil it in the trailer for Until Dawn. Like, now look, I know it's the same voice therapist actor from the game who plays the old geezer attempting to warn the teenagers of impending doom. That doesn't mask what this character is. And keep in mind, in the video game, this particular character was a therapist who would chime in during your playthrough of the game with teasers, with psychological evaluations of what it is that terrified the players. Here, though, in the movie, it's obvious that this character, this voice actor, is now used as a prophet of doom, and in the same way. Look, it might not be a gas station that the teens go to, but, you know, it's a rundown, ramshackle grocery store at best. But that's just the beginning of where it is that this movie steers clear of familiar territory. Next up. Oh, boy. So, this movie, Until Dawn, appears to use the gimmick of the hourglass instead of the blood bowls of Cabin in the Woods. So, if you watch the trailers to Until Dawn, the movie, you'll know that there's this hourglass in this cabin that at the end of each night, it basically turns over so that now the hourglass is pouring anew. And it kind of resets the clock, literally. And the teens in this peril need to not just relive the same day, but they will be going through, according to the premise, new trials and tribulations, which will see them massacred in brutal and random ways. So they're foregoing that gimmick that is being used in this movie for the blood bowls that was used in Cabin in the Woods, which dictated not only when someone would die, but which particular order the teens would die. So I bet they thought that no one would pick up on that. I did. Oh, God. I swear, these spammers. 1 second. Okay, back to business. So what do we have at number 3? I couldn't help but notice that in the second trailer, the full trailer, if I'm not mistaken, there's an obvious point of no return. And what I mean by that is there appears to be a split between the ordinary world and the world that the teens are journeying into. So that was, how can I put it? It wasn't off camera when it was noted, when it was highlighted in Cabin in the Woods, but it was out of line of sight of the teenagers. But it was when they were traveling through the tunnel on their way to the campsite. Now, it's so funny because this trailer for Until Dawn revealed what it was that was going on. This divide between the normal world and where these teens are headed to, this other world outside of our reality or whatever. They denoted that with the rain scene. Now, that's a very blink and you missed it scene. However, there's a noticeable, how can I put, barrier or area where it's not raining, and one of the teens holds their hands out to this wall of rain, so to speak, or this area, this pocket where it seems to be just raining over there. So that might seem inconsequential or insignificant, but to me, no, I think that there's something to that. And like I said, it's an obvious plagiarism of Cabin in the Woods. Number 4. So this one is much more obvious and much more blatant. A foreboding book. So in Cabin in the Woods, once the teens journey into the basement of the cabin that they're in, they read aloud from a diary. This was one of several talismans or relics found underneath there. How amusing that in the Until Dawn video game adaptation, there just so happens to be, what is it? A book. And there seems to be like some kind of magic to the book. And this is not a spoiler. This is something that's revealed in the very same trailer that we all saw. So I couldn't help but notice once again, hey, this is directly from Cabin in the Woods, and it just so happens to be some kind of magic with this book. Now, in the Cabin in the Woods, it was something of a lullaby, something of a spell book that activated the curse. With this, it's more with Until Dawn, it's more the teens like signing their lives over or registering for the Faustian bargain with the cabin, or signing their lives away, writing your own death warrant, so to speak. But the point remains that it is still a book that has some kind of magical connotations to it. Moving on. Now we're at the halfway point. Oh boy, now things kick in the high gear. So they set up an outdoor kill where a victim is subdued by a bear trap. Oh, like right now we're really getting into the thick of it, where it's almost like the trailer was bragging about how egregious it was when it comes to knock-off scenes and setups from Cabin in the Woods. Like right here and right now, I couldn't believe that they did the same thing. Like a bear trap, really? You could have done anything else in order to avoid from stepping on the toes of this classic film, but you could have done a pitfall. You could have done a what is that called? That spiked swinging, not a boulder but tree trunk. They had it in the movie Predator. You could have a deadfall. You could have had anything else, but you just had to do a bear trap. And gee, where have I seen that before? And that neatly allows me to segue into how much deeper and how much worse the plagiarism goes and gets. What do we have next? Oh, that's right. The trailer to Until Dawn just couldn't help itself, and we just have to have a scene of ghoulish zombies appearing in the woods. Bruh, like, seriously, they're not even trying to hide how blatant the theft is. Oh my god. I was just like, yo, not for nothing, but there's so many other types of monsters that you can use. So on top of the bear trap, you just have to have zombies. Oh, come on, man. And it's so, oh, Jesus. Speaking of zombies, and this is a bit of a segue, bit of a tangent, but again, the blatant plagiarism. This was something that when Resident Evil Village came out, like when you get to the factory level, they had so blatantly ripped off Frankenstein's Army, a movie that included using machines and steam power to reanimate the dead and use them as an army, as the name of the suggests. And that it's just the designs in the factory in the Resident Evil game. It's just like, man, how pathetic can you possibly be? How unoriginal could you possibly be? And now we see this again with this movie, Until Dawn. So moving on, we're now up to the seventh form of plagiarism. So there is a scene in Cabin in the Woods where the survivors find a shaft under the house, and this appears to be also the case with Until Dawn. Again, they're just so tapped out of ideas. I have to ask, why did you even bother making this movie? Is it because you thought that no one would notice? Is it because you wanted to allegedly do something different, but you kind of didn't, which I'll get to in a moment. So, yeah, you're going to be expecting them to find items, probably like a maze of caverns or whatever, or mine shafts under the house. Yeah, they got that from Cabin in the Woods. Number 8. And the nitty gritty. Expect to see, and I can't even say expect because again the trailers have basically revealed it themselves. There's going to be an army of monsters. That's basically what Cabin in the Woods is about, and that's what Until Dawn is looking to rip right off of them like a band-aid. I mean, it's just the different kinds of monsters that have been seen. There's a serial killer. We've seen zombies, probably other. Oh, there are creatures like creepy crawlies within the people's faces, which I'll get to in a second. So not only do they have this army of monsters, army of nightmares, but oh man, in Until Dawn, they even have giants. Yes, also featured in Cabin in the Woods. I'm trying to tell you, man, the levels of unoriginality, it's to be walking into the theater knowing all this, it's shocking that these people are so shameless in what it is that they're attempting to portray to the movie-going audience as though this is like so original. It's just giants, really. And I can imagine if this video gains any kind of traction, I can imagine just the denials of this. Like, no, it was an homage that we were doing, not a straight up ripoff, because we're like so original. So that takes care of the ripoffs just from Cabin in the Woods. But we got one more. Yes, I believe it was the official trailer that ended with a parasite within, and not just in a person's, like, it could have been in their neck, it could have been in their forehead, similar to the film The Ruins, where there was like a parasitic organism inside of a girl's forehead. No, they just had to go for the cheekbone. That sound familiar? It should certainly look familiar. This scene that you're seeing here featured on my live stream, yes, this is from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. They seriously ripped off the spider leg scene from their movie. You know you're creatively bankrupt when you're plagiarizing Guillermo del Toro. I mean, honestly. This next part doesn't so much have to do with rip-offs. It just goes to show how sad the slasher genre is. Like, how is it that they managed to make the mask in the movie look worse in live action compared to the crappy one in the game? Oh man, I always laugh to myself regarding slasher and teen horror, since they're supposed to be realistic nonfiction, yet the genre in and of itself is so insecure in their own tone that they routinely have to reach for supernatural elements just to tell their story. Fascinating. So, I alluded to it during my main points that I was raising. I was willing to give the movie a chance and the writer-director some credit when they were talking about how their intention was to explore a different angle with the movie adaptation apart from the video game source material. Hey, I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. In what is quickly becoming the object of my animosity, I hate when filmmakers promise us innovation in a familiar genre just to plagiarize another film entirely. I heard the same marketing BS in the promotion for this year's Wolfman. Well, I tell you, we're going to reinvent this werewolf mythos, something original. Yeah, you must mean by ripping off Underworld, right? This Until Dawn film is just a piracy of ideas from The Cabin in the Woods that's almost a decade and a half old. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. You don't tell me that you're going to reinvent the wheel, but really what you're doing is just ripping off other genres, other franchises, other films. It does not work like that. You don't get credit for stealing someone else's homework. So this was just something that I wanted to do as a preview, a different way of doing a movie preview. I'm heading out to the theaters. Once I get back, I will give you guys my thoughts. And hey, I've itemized all of my grievances going in. If I'm wrong about any of this, just like in my Scream 2022 review, if I'm wrong about anything, I will happily admit it. But I'm sorry, I'm just going off their own promotion. I didn't make any of this up. I'm going off of what scenes have been shown to me in the marketing of this film. So that's all I have to go on. But if I'm right, then I'm right, and that's it. And be sure to check in later on when I give my Until Dawn aftershock when I get back from the theater. I've been Inkarnate, your horror host, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.